The mind of Musashi Miyamoto, one of the strongest fighters in Baki, and is commonly known to be the strongest swordsman in history, with stories being told about him for over 400 years, with even Musashi himself stating, "Anything I wanted was mine. I shall make a name for myself once more, and the streets will once again be filled with songs of praise for me." Musashi has a strong ambition for being known, respected, and even just looked up to as a very strong person in general. And Musashi really only fights people for recognition, monetary gain, survival, and training. And when Musashi sees a powerful and renowned opponent, he'll metaphorically see mountains upon mountains of gold, or an endless feast. As a result of this, some characters such as Yujiro have described him as impure, and as a warrior from his era. In Musashi's eyes, combat is either life or death, meaning no matter if it was your family dog or God himself, Musashi would fight them as if they were equal in strength. That is, unless Musashi felt some form of pity for his opponent, and in that case, Musashi may mess around and go easier in the fight. And with Musashi having such little of a grasp on the modern world, Musashi portrays many traits that can be seen as sociopathic. But Musashi is not a full-on sociopath, as he was seen hugging Tokugawa because of Tokugawa supporting him. And despite Musashi's sociopathic tendencies, Musashi is actually quite a polite and nice person, unless you make him angry, which would then make him become extremely aggressive. And also, before or even in a fight, Musashi will often use a technique to simulate the sensation of someone being cut by him, such as cutting off an entire limb, but it would not actually harm the person's body, and instead this would act more as a test, threat, or even a practical joke. Musashi also has an extraordinary amount of pride in himself, and when Musashi had first come back to life, he had a disdain and hatred for barehanded martial arts. But later on, after a couple fights, Musashi has actually grown to respect this form of martial arts because they turn their hands into swords. Musashi very obviously respects strong fighters while also being able to instinctively recognize strength. And Musashi has even been shown bowing his head, like when he admitted he was defeated during his fight with Izuo Motobe. Even though Musashi could have killed Motobe at any moment during that fight, he was merely treating this fight like a practice match, rather than life or death war. And when it comes to Musashi's social life, it's practically just non-existent. Musashi was alone in his past life, but now he's even more alone, with for one, most people just fearing Musashi, but also, not a single person could really relate to Musashi besides maybe Pickle, with Musashi pretty much being taken away from his ancient world and being put in this modern and entirely different reality. And also, no one could understand his way of thinking since he's the only person from his time that's currently alive. But Musashi did make one attempt to spark up a conversation and relate to Pickle due to them both sharing the same situation of being taken away from their respective worlds and placed into a modern one, in which they often have trouble understanding and adapting to. One of Musashi's main driving factors is the fact that he is a very greedy person. Musashi wants all of the attention, glory, and clout, with him wanting to attain riches and fame through fighting in this new world. Musashi has what one can call an insane level of aura, with Musashi even being able to scare away the likes of Pickle because of his fighting style's resemblance to a wasp, as well as Musashi having an expert level sense of battle intentions, such as when he realized that Yujiro Hanma was not intending to kill Musashi, but instead was just simply wanting to fight a strong opponent, just like everyone else in Baki. So Musashi would try to perfect his previously unfinished techniques against insanely strong opponents. And rather than intending to kill Yujiro, he intended to make it more of a learning experience for him. Which actually brings us back to the topic of Musashi's greed. The word greed is often deemed in somewhat of a negative tone, but in the Baki series, greed is something that everyone has and it's pretty much required. But Musashi has so much greed for fame and riches that he is always attempting to get stronger, even if he is risking his life. Musashi also rarely even goes all out during his fights and is instead boastful and mocks his opponents often, which also indirectly makes other fighters harbor a strong hatred for Musashi, which leads to a lot of lackluster fights for Musashi. And Musashi also finds these quick fights that he easily wins to be bland and boring. And even though Musashi can slash as many strikes as he wants to against his opponents, he seems to have a code of honor that he goes by, in which Musashi only matches his opponent's strength rather than just blowing them out of the water and stomping them. So if Musashi's opponent will not use lethal force force against him, Musashi would make sure that this is mutual, which was actually shown during Musashi's fight with Dappo, where Musashi only applied a certain amount of pressure with his sword against Dappo, and instead of slicing Dappo in half, Dappo was just knocked down to the ground. But when a police officer had shot at Musashi, fully intending to kill him, Musashi with no hesitation. Musashi had realized this and he had killed the officer. And he even showed respect for this officer because he was just doing his job, as well as the officer showing no fear against Musashi. Musashi doesn't feel any level of empathy towards his opponents, but he rather pities them. And similarly to the real Musashi Miyamoto that this character is based off of, Musashi is extremely perceptive, thoughtful, and has immense wisdom over the arts of war, especially sword fighting. Musashi knows every sword fighting technique there is, and many others, which can effectively counter just about every other fighting style in the series. And Musashi is in fact so skilled with sword combat that he's able to cut people with just his hands. Comboing that with his mind that can pick up brain signals for when people are getting ready to attack him, Musashi is easily top 5 in Baki when it comes to power. And even at the age of 17, Musashi often fought as a one-man army and wins battles mostly unharmed. And when he was 58, Musashi was still undefeated and he became able to use his visual swords endlessly. And Musashi's grip strength is just straight up absurd. When Yujiro Hanma himself took hold of Musashi's katana and knocked him out with the palm to the face, Musashi was sent flying, but his grip strength on the sword remained strong enough that Yujiro was sent flying with him. And in addition to his strength, he possesses one of the fastest reflexes from all the fighters in the series so far. He was able to dodge and even cut bullets in half in midair, counter fast opponents in the paper distance, and even dodge punches from some of the fastest fighters in Baki, like Baki himself. This man Musashi is an aim lab's demon, and Musashi Miyamoto truly has one of the best mentalities I've seen out of every Baki character. And honestly, his mentality is pretty fair. He just wants clout and money. That's it. And the way Musashi Miyamoto died is straight tragic. It makes zero sense. This man died via old lady kiss when an old lady jumped into the arena during his fight with Baki and kissed him with poison on her lips. The Baki writers have to be on some sort of drug, right? There's no way someone could write this sober. Who thinks of that? If you made it this far in today's video, let me know in the comment section below. Is Musashi Miyamoto in your top 3? For me personally, he has to be. He pulled up to the Bakiverse and just started violating everybody. And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support me, then you can leave a like and subscribe. It's completely free on your end and helps me out way more than you may think. And if you would like to interact with me, my community, drop some memes, show off your art, just talk in general, or maybe even self-promote, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. But that's gonna be all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!